Adam Schiff coming out on camera numerous times saying, I can't tell you what I've seen, but I've seen things. There's a lot more than circumstantial evidence about this collusion.
But there is more than circumstantial evidence. There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
The Russians offered help, which we know they did. The campaign accepted help, which we know they did.
And you got Hillary Clinton saying, an air of illegitimacy around Trump's victory because of this. I mean, she was very clear about it.
Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
Certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy.
The noose is tightening on Trump. It's all going to come out. He's an agent of Russia.
Joe Rogan goes after Adam Schiff with a directness that Schiff himself has managed to dodge for years. Schiff, a politician who thrives on secrecy, half answers, and shadowy claims without proof, is stripped of his mystique under Rogan's spotlight. What emerges is not a careful guardian of democracy, but a practiced hustler who sold cable news its own credibility. Once painted as a sharp strategist and watchful leader, Schiff now comes across as something far less impressive. A tired salesman pushing a product that only the most desperate or unquestioning still bother to buy. Rogan's critique cuts through the polished exterior and leaves behind a picture of a politician clinging to illusions that fewer and fewer people are willing to believe.
Called him a Russian asset.
Listen, Adam Schiff, he was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Adam Schiff knew. He never saw any evidence that Trump was in collusion with the Russians, or that the Russians were interfering in American elections, or that there may have been evidence of that, but there was no evidence that Russia and Trump were in collusion. And he kept saying it. He kept saying it on every news outlet he could. And he knew otherwise. And no one's held him to task for that.
Adam Schiff built his reputation by constantly teasing the press with promises of shocking revelations, only for those so-called bombshells to wither into nothing more than spoiled leftovers. Rogan doesn't let him slip away from that pattern. He points out that Schiff's entire political persona is little more than a staged act fueled by endless hostility. Schiff is like a magician who never manages to pull the rabbit from the hat, yet insists the trick will work if everyone just buys another ticket and comes back tomorrow. And despite the repeated failures, his knack for deception still keeps a portion of the audience hooked, proving how deeply some people want to believe in the illusion.
Seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
That Mueller and congressional investigations also revealed that Don Jr. was informed that a Russian official was offering the Trump campaign, quote, very high level and sensitive information, unquote, that would be incriminating if Hillary Clinton was part of, quote, Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump. You aware of that?
Sure. People get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from a foreign government offering dirt on their opponent? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel. Schiff's biggest challenge is that Rogan's audience has no patience for nonsense. They reject the idea of blindly trusting politicians, especially those who speak in riddles but never back it up with evidence. Rogan tears into that polished facade, exposing the fear and laziness hiding beneath it. Schiff doesn't stand firm on convictions. He leaks information selectively, hides behind committees, and substitutes headlines for real leadership. What remains is not a statesman, but a career built on manipulation. Rogan frames it plainly. Schiff's trajectory is that of a parasitic figure in politics, one who thrives on the media's obsession with cliffhangers and the willingness of naive voters to believe there's always a big reveal just around the corner.
Holy shit.
Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files.
And will you be able to review hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I answer the question?
Well, my question
I would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want?
You'll be able to review.
I'm not going to mislead this body, nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
you
another question.
You were censured by Congress, Senator, for comments.
Think about how many times Adam Schiff has teased the big reveal over and over. He went on talk shows claiming to have the kind of evidence that would change everything. Yet, every time, that so-called proof either never existed or was so flimsy that a strong breeze could have blown it apart. Joe Rogan cuts through the act, comparing Schiff to a bargain bin Netflix sitcom, one that somehow keeps getting renewed even though the storyline has gone stale. Schiff may still deliver the same performance, but the audience has stopped buying tickets. The trust is gone, and the repetition only makes the cracks in his credibility more obvious.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that video up.
As for this new FBI whistleblower report, I understand Kash Patel last night declassified a 302 FBI document showing that a whistleblower who is a Democrat, a career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intel Committee for more than a decade, repeatedly warned the FBI in 2017 that then Rep. Adam Schiff had approved leaking classified information to smear then President Donald Trump over the Russiagate scandal. This is obviously a bombshell whistleblower report. Hopefully more people in this room will cover it as.
What makes Rogan's roast sting is that it's rooted in truth. Schiff has made a career out of bold promises, always grand, always dramatic, yet rarely delivering. He's like a gambler convinced the next hand will finally bring victory, only to fold weakly every single time. Rogan points out that this isn't just empty theater, it's sheer incompetence. While chasing shadows and spinning stories, Schiff neglected real issues that actually mattered. Years were wasted keeping Americans tangled in an endless cycle of speculation. The result? Politics reduced to performance art, and ironically, even that wasn't a craft Schiff could master.
Now, this staff member began talking to the FBI in 2017 because he said he considered the leaks to be, quote, unethical, illegal, and treasonous. This is a Democrat staffer who is saying to the FBI he had a holy shit moment when he heard Adam Schiff give the order. These documents that outline the FBI's interview, like the FBI doesn't tape its interviews. They go back and they report what they heard in their interviews.
Schiff's persona carries an oversized dose of arrogance. He speaks as though his word is law, wrapping himself in the armor of integrity that only he seems to believe in. Rogan tears through that facade with ease, showing that Schiff isn't the wise statesman he imagines, but more like the loud kid in class who insists on putting his name on the group project while doing none of the work. The entire Schiff brand revolves around posturing instead of producing, and when Rogan digs into his track record, the emptiness becomes glaring. There's no substance, no real victories, no legacy, just noise. That's what makes Rogan's critique sting. He frames Schiff as the embodiment of everything people are sick of in politics. Endless promises, flashy appearances, and a fixation on headlines rather than solutions. Schiff, in Rogan's telling, isn't just ineffective. He's the exact opposite of what Americans actually need.
Don't believe he's going to weaponize the DOJ to use it against his opponents. I believe that's what was done to him. Though, as we discussed with Alan Dershowitz and that now famous clip that went around where I said we need Steve Bannon, I'm not totally opposed to it. I'm going to be honest. Who would cry a tear if Adam Schiff actually got some sort of hassle thrown his way by the DOJ, assuming, I'm sure he's done something.
Schiff represents the polished, arrogant mask of a system that thinks voters can be distracted forever with grand speeches instead of genuine solutions. Rogan cuts right through that illusion, showing how little it means outside the insulated world of Washington. Schiff, he argues, is the kind of figure who thrives in the political bubble, but would collapse instantly if held to the standards of real-world competence. The beauty of Rogan's critique is that it doesn't need exaggeration. Schiff has spent years scripting his own downfall with hollow statements and theatrical gestures. Rogan simply connects the dots, underscoring how Schiff embodies Washington's worst habits, dodging accountability, refusing to admit failure, and obsessing over appearances. Despite his constant self-promotion as the moral compass, Schiff remains one of the most obvious players in the political game. Rogan dismantles that pose with humor, showing that Schiff's self-righteousness is nothing more than a flimsy shield against scrutiny, and one that fools fewer people every day.
Schiff stated the group would leak classified information which was derogatory to the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Schiff stated the information would be used to indict President Trump. The whistleblower stated this would be illegal. And upon hearing his concerns, unnamed members of the meeting reassured that they would not be caught leaking classified information.
And this is where the roast takes a darker, more cutting turn. Rogan doesn't just highlight Schiff's past missteps. He shows that the man is still running the exact same con, still making promises, still speaking in riddles, still chasing headlines instead of delivering results. Schiff hasn't grown, hasn't adapted, hasn't learned a single thing. He's like a broken machine stuck on repeat, endlessly recycling the same tired routine. Once you see it from Rogan's angle, the illusion shatters. Schiff isn't the bold statesman he imagines himself to be. Rogan swings hard, smashing that carefully crafted image to pieces, exposing it as a parody of every weakness in modern politics. In Rogan's telling, Schiff has built his entire persona on being Washington's permanent hall monitor. Every investigation, every crisis, every splashy headline, Schiff inserts himself as though the Republic would collapse without his booming speeches. It's exhausting. Worse, Rogan makes clear how absurd it really is. Schiff isn't defending democracy. He's defending his seat in Congress, wrapping self-preservation in the language of duty.
I'm going to shock the world right now and defend Adam Schiff. In response to the heat he's getting for the following clip.
It is an existential threat, Senator, and also
Asleep.
I have not seen it yet, but from what I've heard about former FBI Director Ray,
Someone in the audience behind
comments on 60
Pam
Minutes regarding China
is videotaping Adam Schiff asleep.
In our own country, infiltrating our water systems, our natural gas lines.
I defend Adam Schiff because these confirmation hearings are boring.
That's exactly why Rogan's roast hit so effectively. He stripped Schiff's entire persona down to pure theater. Rogan points out that Schiff feeds on drama the way a fire needs oxygen. The moment the red light on the camera flicks on, Schiff morphs into this grave, shadowy figure warning America of dark forces just out of sight. But once the stage lights fade and the curtain pulls back, all that remains are recycled slogans and empty forecasts. Rogan paints him as a horror director who endlessly teases a jump scare that never arrives. The suspense builds, but the payoff never comes. And Rogan doesn't stop there. He tears apart Schiff's carefully rehearsed image as some master strategist. The supposed genius, Rogan argues, is really just a string of errors hidden behind marathon press conferences. The longer Schiff insists on selling himself as the all-seeing prophet of corruption, the easier it becomes for Rogan to spotlight the insecurity and desperation holding the act together.
This staffer was interviewed by FBI agents on several occasions and told those agents that then Congressman Adam Schiff was the one who approved the leaks to the media. That it was Adam Schiff who approved the leaks to the media. FBI Director Kash Patel has released new documents on how classified information was leaked to the media and weaponized against Donald Trump during his first term as president.
Schiff has invested years building the image of a truth teller, but Rogan flips that image on its head, pointing out that real truth doesn't need a marketing campaign. If you have the facts, you simply present them. Schiff doesn't. Instead, he sells suspense the way a streaming service sells cliffhangers. The only difference? Unlike Netflix, voters can't just cancel him mid-season. Rogan ties Schiff's performance directly to the larger frustration people feel with politicians. He's the textbook example of someone who says one thing in front of the cameras and does another once the doors close. There's no subtlety in the contrast. It's blatant. Rogan also digs into Schiff's favorite defense mechanism, victimhood. Whenever challenged, Schiff frames criticism of himself as an attack on democracy itself. Rogan dismantles that tactic with humor, likening it to a magician shouting, "Look over there," while fumbling the trick. For years, Schiff has accused opponents of undermining freedom, as if questioning him personally were somehow unconstitutional. By stripping away the self-importance and theatrical framing, Rogan exposes just how hollow that act really is.
So what's happened over the past 24 hours is Kash Patel has leaked documents that he has found, FBI interviews of a whistleblower who has identified himself as a longtime Democratic staffer. This is not a Republican operative, a Democratic staffer who was working in Democratic offices at the time of the alleged leaking in 16-17. This staffer was interviewed by FBI agents on several occasions and told those agents that then Congressman Adam Schiff was the one who approved the leaks to the media. That it was Adam Schiff.
Schiff's ambitions don't stop in the House. The Senate is his next big stage. But Rogan makes it clear that this isn't about serving the public. It's about enlarging the spotlight. Schiff isn't chasing higher office to fix problems. He's chasing it for a bigger audience, a grander platform, and a prime time role for his monologues. Rogan ridicules the move by comparing Schiff to a failed actor desperate for a sequel after the first film bombed. The punchline lands because it's true. Schiff doesn't deserve a promotion. He deserves retirement. what makes Rogan's takedown so devastating is the mix of comedy and undeniable reality. Once you see Schiff through Rogan's eyes, you can't unsee him. The roast cuts deep because it shows Schiff for what he really is. A politician who mistakes persistence for credibility, mistaking noise for substance.
Biden pardoned Adam Schiff at the end of his term. But unlike the one he gave to Hunter, it was a limited pardon.
It was.
And it only spoke to J6 and his work on the January 6th Select Committee. So it would not immunize him from any of the claims you and I are discussing right now, right?
That's correct. At least according to the legal experts I've talked to, he's only immunized for what he did related from January 6th forward of 2021.
Consequently, Schiff has spent years behaving as though a flimsy tale could somehow transform into fact simply through repetition. Each press conference, each late night TV appearance, each solemn promise of evidence just around the corner was delivered with the confidence of a man who thought that if he just said it enough times, people would stop asking whether it was ever true. It was a political version of the magician's trick we've seen before. Point over here, whisper about shadows over there, and hope the audience forgets the rabbit never appeared. But Rogan dismantles that entire illusion with a single observation. Repetition without proof doesn't create authority. It only creates noise. Schiff's echo chamber of headlines, leaks, and ominous hints doesn't inspire confidence. It exhausts it. Over time, his bombshells became stale reruns, predictable enough that even casual viewers stopped tuning in. Rogan drives this point home by comparing him to a Netflix series, long past its prime, renewed again and again despite a plot line that never changes. And what has all that posturing earned Schiff? Not legacy, not leadership, not bold solutions, just forgettability. He has become the background noise of Washington, quickly pushed aside the moment Americans turn their attention to real issues. Rogan mocks that reality, showing how Schiff has confused drama with impact and airtime with credibility. Even his Senate bid fits the same mold. Not a vision for service, but a desperate attempt to upgrade the stage lights. Rogan leaves him exactly where he belongs, not as a leader to be admired, but as a cautionary tale of political excess. Schiff embodies the politician who mistakes persistence for substance and performance for progress, and Rogan's roast makes sure nobody misses the difference.